Lucie, the name means light. The majority of our team has worked in newsrooms throughout the country. We've seen the negatives. At Lucie, we explore the positives. And through this video series, we spotlight them. People, places, businesses, nonprofits, you name it. Storytelling is at the heart of our company, and we know sharing a story makes connections. It's simple, informative, and empowering. So without further ado, let's go. Hey everybody, Craig Lucie here with Lucie Content, and we also have John Searles, our digital marketing specialist with Lucie Content, Morehouse grad. Super excited with our guest today. We go way back, actually, back to 2019 when I first covered Freaknik coming back, and we have Michael Williams, who is a dancer, musician, an artist, and also Carlos Neal, principal with After Nine Partners, one of the guys in a group of people who really came together to bring Freaknik back. You guys are coming off fresh from South by Southwest in Austin. You had the documentary premiere, which is coming up on Hulu. Tell me about how South by Southwest was and what's next.
Oh my gosh. It was an amazing experience. Just being able to see all the work that has been put into the documentary, from Jay Allen to Nikki to P. Frank, and seeing it in Geraldine, and seeing how all of that have manifested into something that, is very dear to me, and not just me, but most people from Atlanta hearts. Being able to be told, it just proves that, Atlanta, as a culture, and the impact that Freaknik has had on Atlanta, and vice versa, Atlanta on the world, is just having that story told. So amazing.
Well, I love the title, Freaknik, the wildest party never told, for this documentary. And yes. I mean, the trailer, by the way, we'll show the trailer.
Every generation has a moment where they come just to have some fun.
Atlanta is the mecca for Black people in America.
It has multiple historically Black colleges.
In the 80s,
we said, let's plan a picnic during spring break.
But the trailer is awesome, and it's like, who do you guys not have in this documentary? I was looking at, we have Jermaine Dupri, Uncle Luke, 21 Savage, Lil Jon, Jalen Rose, Killer Mike, Too Short, CeeLo, Eric Sermon. I mean, the list goes on and on. I thought the trailer was fantastic. One of the quotes that actually, before this interview, I liked, it said, "I don't know what heaven looks like, but this seems like a version of it." That was Jalen Rose who said that. Yeah.
Yes. So, look, we got to get Jalen to Atlanta, man. Like, I'm already was a fan of the Fab Five, but I ain't know he got down like that. Like, brother, our people gonna reach out to you. So, no, it had everybody, from the entertainment perspective. The good part about Freaknik is there's so many different angles, right? So, like, within an hour and a half type documentary is, it's only so much you can fit in. So, we got a chance to kind of cover from the HBCU standpoint. We got a chance to talk about how it grow and how, its impact on the artists, and, obviously some of the, negative aspects of it. But, the good part about the Freaknik stories, there's so much more to tell, right? So when you're like, well, who else you don't have in it? We don't have Ron Green, who was the promoter of Freaknik from 1990 to 1996, whereas he actually, the people that put together the plan for the City of Atlanta Olympics, actually did the plan for Freaknik first. Nobody knows that.
Amazing.
They did it for Freaknik first in 1995. The city rejected it. Then they accepted a revised version of it for 96. So it talks about, that's something that's not in the documentary, but what is in the documentary, and there's more to come there, but what is in the documentary is, about the politics and understanding, why did Freaknik really end, right? Was it because it just got out of control, or was there a conscious, underlying reasons for that to happen? And so we're really excited to see it, unfold.
Yeah, they did a great job. Hulu and the whole production team, and Carlos mentioned P. Frank Williams and Geraldine. They did an amazing job capturing the essence of where it all started, how it started, where the name came from, how it grew. It grew beyond their imagination, beyond their control. And it just took on a world of its own. But they did an amazing job in showing that.
Awesome. Well, John, I know that you have history here, and you were talking about it before we started this conversation. Why don't you jump in and share some of your experiences with Freaknik?
Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely. I was just a little kid, but the funny thing about Freaknik, and I talked to quite a few people about this, is that at no age were you able to escape it. I grew up in College Park and the East Point
Okay,
area,
okay.
and my mother worked in Buckhead, and so every day, I get that commute, driving from Buckhead down to Southwest Atlanta, and you saw some things. Also my father worked in the beauty industry, so Freaknik and the Bronner Brothers shows were just a an experience to say the least. You had to grow up fast growing up in Atlanta for a lot of reasons, but Freaknik was one of the bigger reasons. That you see so many people that have been inspired by the culture, the colors, the people, the just general black joy, you
Yeah.
know, that was there. I can still remember going to Weston Mall with my mom
Mhm.
and seeing something different than I saw on TV. I was seeing empowered black young people, everywhere. And that was my reality. That wasn't the reality that I saw on TV. That wasn't my friend's reality who, lived outside of the state, or my cousins who lived in Florida necessarily. But that was a really different reality. I didn't know it was different. And I have so many friends and I know so many people who were moved by getting to see those things, and getting to experience them in their many different ways, but it certainly sparked so much in the city and so much in the people that come from here you know so one question that I wanted to ask is, what was you guys' first experience with Freaknik? Whether it was the name, a specific experience, what was the first thing where you're like, oh, this is Freaknik?
Well, mine, if I can go first, Carlos, mine was just being around in that era. Giving away my age here, but yeah, definitely, I was in high school when Freaknik was founded. Was first, came out. When I first, that's the first time I heard of it. Friends and people talking about it. I mean, it spread. I don't know how it reached all the way to the West Coast, but it did, and it reached pretty quickly.
So, I mean, I'm glad you asked that question. First, John, I'm from Adamsville, MLK,
Oh, okay.
born and
Yeah.
raised, Grady
Yeah.
baby, right? So, you know, um, I will tell you, my first experience of Freaknik, right? So, when I was in the 8th grade, um, I got kicked off the school bus. It's a whole story itself. So I couldn't ride the school bus no more. Somebody hit the bus driver with a snowball. She said it was me. No snitching. I wasn't gonna say who did it. So I just took that one on the chin. So I had to ride MARTA, to get to school. And I actually was riding the MARTA bus, as in 1995. Happened to get off at 5 Points, and then we all came a long way. So I'm around older kids that I knew who was in high school, running up and down underground Atlanta, you know, and I was down there doing Freaknik and just being able to walk by. I mean, you're talking about right on the top part of Upper Alabama, there would be nothing but cars, people parked with the hatchback, and like you see all sorts of things, and I would leave it at that. Um, Riding around with my cousins and them, doing Freaknik weekend, getting stuck on Langford Parkway. It was a gridlock. We just got out the car, drinking beers, partying. So, you take those experiences, and obviously, being all ATL, from college, doing events, going to Southern Poly, bringing the first Black History Month step show up there. I instinctively think to bring people who I knew. So I had Shawty come and host that, for being a promoter in the clubs, to owning a restaurant with T.I., to having a couple gentlemen's clubs here in the city. So the one thing I knew how to do was throw a party. And as I got older, got married, I was like, okay, I can't be in the clubs till 5 o'clock in the morning time. let me get over to let me try to break into this concert world. And so the third concert I did, I was like, man, I want to do something to honor the city. I was thinking like old school ATL. And I said, man, what if we did Freaknik live at concert? Not just me. I was having a conversation with the other Michael Williams. His name Michael Bull Williams. He's currently the partner of Keith Sweat, and he was the manager of Teddy Riley for years. After my second concert I did at State Farm Arena, I met with Bull. He embraced me, and we were just, thinking about how, what's the next event we're going to do. And that's when we came up with the Freaknik concept. And being smart, I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm about to put a lot of money into this concert. Like that first concert had like an $800,000 budget. So let me make sure nobody owns the name so that, we don't get in trouble. And then I went and searched, and I saw that Cartoon Network had just, let it go, like in 2018. Wow. So I basically applied for the trademark, invested, to date, over 1.8 million into the brand to try to, restore it. And here we are today.
Here we are. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to ask you about the trademark. The other thing that John summed up a little bit, but, a lot of people ask, why should Freaknik return? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah. And to be honest, you're going to see that answer. That question is actually answered by the documentary as well.
Yeah, very well answered. Very well answered.
Very well answered. At the end of the day, Freaknik started, and as I've proven today, continued to be a celebration of Black unity. And obviously, beyond, it's open to everybody, in this, inclusive, diverse, world that, we're fortunate to live in today. But it started off as just some DC Metro Club, students saying, hey, we can't go back home, let's just celebrate here. And it ended up being such a positive thing. It was a picnic. It was fun. People come together. They have a good time. You can express yourself, whether it's through, your cars, your music, your fashion, your dance, whatever you wanted to do. You was able to, for that one weekend, to be able to be your authentic, true self. Now, unfortunately, a few, bad apples sport the bunch. But ultimately, there's a need for that today. Everything is so commercialized. I've worked hard to not make Freaknik become this corporate entity. So like from the first year, I had to do it at a major venue. But the second year, I tried to bring it back to my community because I had bigger artists prior to the pandemic. I had, Big Boy, I had Jermaine Dupri, I had bigger artists than I had in 2019. I cut my prices in half because my goal was to one day be able to attract a corporate sponsor and actually make this event, free, to the public. So for me, it was very important that if I wanted for that to happen, I knew we had to clean up the image and we had to protect it. And that's been my battle for the last couple of years.
And to elaborate on that a little bit, I think it's Carlos and I talk all the time, and we've been partners on this Freaknik brand for a while, and we want to give back. We want to find a way to usher that back in for those HBCU students that don't have a place to go for spring break. They can't go to Daytona Beach. They can't go. They would rather stay there and have their own thing because they have their own culture that they're currently a part of at those colleges and within the Atlanta area. It's a culture of itself. So we think it should come back in for the very least for those purposes.
And Michael, I want to add, if you think about right now with the whole South Beach, they put out a PR campaign saying, we need to break up. Very similar to what happened to Freaknik in 1996. And the reason why Miami is currently right now for spring break telling people don't come is because it wasn't organized. It's not controlled.
Yeah.
It's like
now,
chaos.
And it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that happened in Daytona as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why is because there's not an entity. I think cities should embrace this, and if they embrace it and they get ahead of it and they can control it, it can be something that's not only financially impactful, but it can also be meaningful.
Well, so about the documentary, it comes out on Hulu on the 21st. You guys are going to have a watch party. We haven't even tapped into what's going down on 420 here in Atlanta with Killer Mike. Tell us about the big festival on 420.
Absolutely. So Killer Mike being from, the South Side, you know what I'm saying, where John's from, actually Adamsville, excuse me, and his business partner is from the South Side. He was telling me they joke all the time because growing up, John, I don't, you was fortunate. Your parents drove you to Buckhead and back, but it was almost like each city was our city. I was in Adamsville. I never went to Old National. You know what I'm saying? I stayed in Adamsville.
Oh, wow.
And the thing, he was like, yeah, so it was almost like different world. But now being able to bring it back, I'm not revealing the location yet. I will say that it is on the south side. It's somewhere around Old National. Having him come and host it, it's his birthday weekend. It's 420, So, we really just want to, just give people a taste of it. And we're trying to do it in a way that it allows me to kind of bypass some of the politics that we still deal with today. So like in 2020, 2022, I still had challenges getting permits. There's still that bias there, whereas permits was issued to me the week of the event, and it was like, okay, I can't get liquor sponsors like this. I can't do this. I had to move it last minute, to Cosmopolitan, to me, working with 21 Savage team to producing in 2023 at Underground Atlanta, but having, artists of 21 Savage prestige, it kind of, so it still lets like there's certain, bias towards it. So this year I'm just, putting together something. I'm working with the city of South Fulton, with Mayor Khalid. We're going to do an Earth Day thing there. We're going to do some proclamations, still just trying to make it, a really great, fun, positive, but most importantly, safe event.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's
jump in, John.
That's the way that that's absolutely the way that it should be. I have to say, as an Atlanta native, I'm proud of you guys. The way that you've handled this, it's really special. And we want to respect your time, but I just want to ask you guys, give me an elevator pitch. Give me an elevator pitch for the new Freaknik. What does it mean? Who's it going to inspire? Where are we going?
Both of us. Do you want me to let you go first, Michael?
I'll let you. You can go first, Big Daddy.
Okay.
That's your
my baby.
You know it.
You got the shirt to prove it, man.
And you know what? And it's right because in the beginning I didn't want to be the face of it. I'm a promoter. I don't take photos with artists. I'm always behind the scenes. So I allowed someone else to kind of give the message. And Tara, I love her. She mentioned it was whole family friendly, and I was like, whoa, Tara. Okay, no, there's nothing family friendly about Freaknik. You might create some families, but anyway, so for me, Freaknik, the way I look at it is, it should be nostalgic to Atlanta. I believe it's a celebration of all things ATL. I believe it's a celebration of all things, exciting, energetic. So even if it's not just directly ATL, but it's those such as Uncle Luke, when he was in Miami Cream Bass Music, or Two Live Crew, or believe it or not, in my conversations one-on-one with Teddy Riley, he like, nobody ever mentioned me. I'm the first person that put, a raunchy video on MTV with the Rump Shaker, and I was like, oh man, all of those things, from the inspiration from the hair, the cars, the culture. So, but it's also partying with the purpose.
Well, with that, any final thoughts?
No, man. I would say, for the upcoming events, check out, Freaknik Fest. That's FEST.com. I invite you to join in on the fun on Instagram at Freaknik Festival, on Facebook, Freaknik Festival, and just feel free to reach out, respond to most comments. I think Freaknik was started by the people for the people. And I'm excited to say that there's more film projects to come. We're working on, some series, some movies. We're working on some tours. We want to be able to take Freaknik on the road, and let people be able to experience what, all the Atlanta natives hold very dear to their heart.
Get a little taste of the ATL.
And I would add to that, Craig and John and guys, that thank you, Hulu, for taking the time and taking the money and the undertaking itself of letting the world know how great Freaknik was when it started and where it comes from, and just honoring those kids and those HBCUs. And, I mean, just so thankful that Hulu did this. We're extremely grateful for that.
All right, so Freaknik, The Wildest Party Never Told, will be on Hulu. It is on the 21st. There is a watch party. You can check out their website for more information on that. And then 420 is the big festival somewhere off of Old National Highway. We don't know the location yet, but Carlos will reveal that at a later date. Guys, thanks so much for the time. I mean, your determination is very inspiring. I know it's you've been talking about it. What an undertaking. What a way to bring back that ATL history for, this next generation, as you talked about, to experience. So thanks a lot. Congrats. We're super proud of y'all. Go get it. Our mission is simple. Create your news. When we create it, we hope to spotlight your purpose. Life's too short to be stuck in a world that becomes stale. What is your purpose? Are you living it? If you're not, the time is now. Thanks for listening and watching. Carpe Diem.